And we back. What's going on, Ty?
What's happening?
Oh, it's another week, man. Welcome everybody that's coming in, joining us. If you in here with us right now, go up and hit that little button in the corner to share the link to your followers on Twitter or Instagram. Let them know we in here for another episode of Fuck You Money. This is Yo. I'm here with Ty.
What's happening, man?
It's been a couple weeks. It's been like 2 weeks since I last talked.
Yeah. Definitely been 2 weeks.
Give me an update. Tell me where you at right now. Tell me what you've been doing.
Shit, I'm in San Diego right now. Um, to tomorrow. I've been traveling, man. It's fucking shit harsh on the body. But it's fourth quarter. You know what I mean?
What does fourth quarter mean to you?
Fourth quarter determines how you gonna start the year. For me. You know what I'm saying?
Now, when does fourth quarter officially start for you? Is it a particular month? Is it a particular season? Like, when do you know that you're in fourth quarter?
October 1st, man. I align my quarters with the great United States of America, goddamn financial systems and corporate systems and things of that nature. And I utilize that because, that's the flow of the system that we just so happen to live in. And, utilize that the best of my abilities to set up both personally and professionally aspects of things.
Now, have you always operated in that system as far as your business goes, or was there a particular year where you started pretty much operating around a seasonal period?
No, it was always quarters just because I'm an old ex-athlete nigga. So the fourth quarter was always an important quarter. In sports, you can win the game, lose the game, make it to the playoffs, miss the playoffs. Because at the end of the game, that's when the fatigue kicked in. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is when you really dig in.
Yeah, your financial fatigue kick in, your personal fatigue kick in. You start getting a little bit too lax, making errors that you probably shouldn't be making on financial balancing, financial spending, tasks that you're supposed to be knocking out to set yourself up for the next quarter. Because I live my life in quarters. So, for me, especially this fourth quarter is very important because that's when I plan out my entire year, at least all the goals that I have for 2023 or whatever that next year is. So for me, the fourth quarter is very, very crucial to fuck you money because that's when you can sit down and really visualize, you know what I'm saying, like where you see yourself at when the fourth quarter comes back around a year later.
Absolutely. Do you remember where you were this time last year? And what kind of point of view or what was the perspective for your 2022?
Um, this time last year, first quarter last year, I think we was getting ready to go to, I think we was in New York or getting ready to go to the Bahamas or something to finish this album. Um, and then, sports seasons was in, so a lot of, checking out games, a lot of sports gambling, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of that stuff going on. I got a extremely busy fourth quarter this year, so I'm trying to like stay healthy, get sleep, not eat the wrong thing, so that I can kind of make it to top of December when I start shutting everything down.
Now you shut down throughout the entire December?
Oh yeah, man, like that's the balance of the fourth quarter as well. That's why my October and November is so important because I throttle all the way down in December because that's really the only month that we really have to take off.
Mm-hmm. And now are you back operating at January 1st or?
For whatever that first official Monday is, you know what I mean, of the year. But yeah,
Now this is where it's like like the muscle season. You're gonna push yourself. You're gonna really, really dig in because you know you have that grace period coming.
oh yeah, 1,000%. I mean, even these shows, you know what I'm saying? We towards the end of the contract. It's harder and harder to get through these shows because schedule is getting busier, and sometimes I remember that these shows is coming up. Sometimes I don't, and so no matter where I'm at in the world, I gotta like readjust if I didn't see it on my calendar the way I should have. You know what I'm saying? So everything get tight towards the end of the quarter. Money get tight. attention span get shorter, start being fatigued, you know, everybody trying to close the year out.
What would you say is very crucial for you just to not get overwhelmed in this period?
Um, can't get sick, man. That's the thing. The biggest thing is like health for me. Like long as I'm like not sick or feeling like I'm about to get sick, then it's way easier to maneuver around and not get overwhelmed. You know what I mean? Because it pulls a lot out of you when you're trying to recover while still moving around and get what you need to get done. And sick can be anything. I'm not even talking about COVID. I'm talking about like food poisoning or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
And the weather's changing. You're entering a new season, like in the world. So traveling affects your body differently. I feel like depending on where you are, but time zone it is like it piles up. It starts to really weigh on you very much like armor.
1,000%. 1,000%. So, when we start talking about the fourth quarter, we start talking about fuck you money, you know, once again, the methodology around all of it is how do we plan our year out? The fourth quarter is just as important as the first quarter. It's important for you to know that because the first quarter is the momentum. You rolling into the momentum from executing your goals in the fourth quarter. From the fourth quarter, you roll into the first quarter of the next year. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of learning that can take place, and it's some downtime when all the vacation stuff kick in and people start taking off Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and understanding how to like spend time with family, but still don't lose focus of like whatever your goal is that you're trying to achieve. Whatever you're trying to study, if you're trying to get back into school, if you're trying to, start a new business, if you're trying to invest funds, if you're trying to, buy a house, like all of that shit is important when you're trying to, make sure that these goals that you're pushing towards is relevant to, how you end the year, because it also affects, your self-esteem. You know what I'm saying? If you hit on all cylinders and you end the year off of closing a new deal or developing a new business partner or acquiring a new line of credit or cleaning up your credit so that you can keep working on that, or, being able to get into a new place or getting a new job, or, having a baby, or, getting married, whatever. All of these different things is like embedded contractual obligations to some sort. You know what I'm saying? And so being hyper aware and hypersensitive about how important the fourth quarter is to your life and how you close your year out is always going to be a very important thing to think about and pertaining to building up to develop an environment and a community that you can always lean on when things don't serve you, and that's really what we want to make sure that's loud, for this call when it comes to fuck your money in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, can you think back on the fourth quarter where you feel like you really nailed it, that you were hitting all your goals, that you were able to keep your focus, and that the result of that fourth quarter led to a great first quarter for you?
Um, I mean, probably like my last 3 years of fourth quarter has been pretty impactful. Even during COVID, because during COVID, I was determined to finish and graduate. So I utilized a lot of that downtime to not only travel to scout players because big agencies couldn't go because of all of the protocols with COVID. And that gave me an edge as a small agency. But then on top of that, studying for my master's and really narrowing in and trying to make sure that I land on that master's, because I had a very big goal that when the world opened back up, and I wanted to be progress. I wanted to be ahead. I wanted to be better than I was when the world shut down. Not just skill set wise, but certificates, degrees, or whatever I could get to further qualify myself in the market to make my presence more valuable when I'm going into different conversations. So acquiring a master's during 2021 that end of 2020 was very, very important because I think I was doing like 2 classes that quarter, um, while still maintaining and traveling, and couldn't really do much traveling abroad because of COVID and the COVID card and a lot of the different things. So just doing a lot of traveling in the States.
Now, how different was it preparing and getting your master's compared to when you were working a job during that fourth quarter period?
Self accountability. You know what I'm saying? When you working a job, they got it set up. They're gonna tell you what time to be there. You gotta get there, you gotta clock in. You know what I'm saying? You gotta know what what your goals are, what your assignments are. They got a leader that you need to report to. When you're dealing at school and you're doing it online, you got a lot of autonomy. And you got a lot of shit that you gotta really dial in on. And you gotta be responsible and you gotta be accountable for yourself. So that was the biggest difference between working a job and pursuing an educational advancement.
hmm It required the same amount of discipline, but the accountability felt differently. So now that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, 1000%.
So what are some things in the marketplace or in business period that you feel like come around during the fourth quarter that people should be paying attention to?
Any budgets that a company has, they're trying to hurry up and spend their marketing funds or sponsorship funds, and because the year ending, so they're trying to hurry up and spend that. So any sponsorship dollars you probably can acquire, if you start early, late second quarter, early third quarter, that those companies, some of them are going to be running out of money, but some of them are going to be trying to figure out how to get rid of the money before the year start over because they can't take that money financially to them into the new year. The budgets restart and they don't really get that money back.
So definitely a good time to be thinking about sponsorships and how you can go attach yourself with brands that, have the extra like economics.
1000%.
Is there anyone you're looking at right now that you feel like would be good to team up and sponsor with for one of your projects?
We're in talks with we got a wellness event in Miami November 30th. So we bouncing ideas with MetaMask and pitching for a few other sponsors to see if they're interested in being a title sponsor for our wellness event for Mirror Wellness Club in Miami November 30th. Outside of that, we're just speaking to sponsors about next summer, about events and everything we're doing next summer to get ahead of it.
Why do you think summer is different than the winter time as far as planning events? You just feel like people are just more outside during the summer and at winter time it's a little bit more insular?
Yeah, I think that's just one of those natural chain of events that happen with the summertime. People are just going to be more outside, more likely to spend money. They feel better. It being cold outside, people don't always like that and enjoy that the same way they may like the summertime. And brands know that, and it's right in the middle of the year as well. So
With that said, would you say it's a good period in the fourth quarter to present if you're an artist new music or something that people can enjoy from inside the house without thinking about coming to see you live?
yeah, like the fourth quarter, probably once you get past towards like the end of November, I don't really encourage new artists to drop music because they roll into like the holiday wave. And so it's a very tough time to drop music if you want the platforms to really support you. Now, if you just saying, fuck it, I want to get in front of my fans because my fans fuck with me and they know what time it is. This is my release schedule and they know I'm releasing, cool. But if you trying to really elevate your release, get some more marketability, marketing buzz around it, I'm always like, yo, don't drop that shit. And, after the end of November, you kind of like dropping it in the middle of like everybody shutting down, people trying to help them get off and go vacation, all that type of shit. You'll be better off cranking up, dropping it early February and catching everybody back in the office. Their inbox is probably a little bit more manageable and, engaging and ready to support some new artists.
I think platform awareness is so important. you have to kind of keep your eye on how companies are moving and the way you can take advantage of when they're active and when you should be pulling back when they're not so active, especially if you don't have like a super strong core of fans that are just ready for whatever you're ready to drop or whatever you're ready to present.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's very important to follow, sometimes systems are just clear. Now, once again, if you got a strong fan base and you already did a lot of the groundwork, the fans are gonna show up for you regardless. But it's important to kind of follow the systems to try to know if you're trying to get the maximum exposure out of your art, if you care that much.
I mean, I would hope you would care, but I feel you. I feel you. Did you by any chance see that notice about how up to 100,000 songs are being uploaded to like Spotify and DSPs every day?
Yeah, man.
It's crazy, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
even with looking at something like that, such a large number of music being pumped out every day, what makes it like, what advantages should people be looking for to stand out? Especially like,
Yeah, I mean, tough, man. You know, finding really creative marketing tactics for a new artist is important. Even if your team got the connectivity and the connections in the market, it's still, still a very, very uphill battle for developing acts if you don't have like a very solid plan around what world that you want to build and understand that you're building from 1 fan to 10 fan, 10 fan to 20 fan. Because when there's that many songs dropping on a daily basis, it's really gonna be down to like, what the fuck do they care to listen to your shit? What are you doing that's unique enough in the market that make your number 100,000 appealing enough to go to number 10,000?
I agree completely.
I was just talking to a homie. He had sent me a new artist that he's building or whatever. Say he's looking for a team for it, and I told him, I said, man, that's cool, man. It's some really great videos, man. But I'm not in the business to try to find and develop new artists at this point. I make more money betting on sports. You know what I'm saying? Then goddamn trying to get in and like convince people. You're not only convincing people that this is something they should listen to, you got to convince the artists that you know what the fuck you're talking about over and over and over and over and over again. Because everybody has like this ideology of who they are, what they want to be, which is cool, right? Because I think that's important. But I was just telling them, I was like, yeah, man, I ain't really into that. A new artist right now is so, it's costly, especially when you're trying to build it independent. You know what I'm saying? If it was just some shit where I'm like, well, fuck it, we're just gonna take it and sign it to a major label, then it's just, you just start in so much debt, for that new business. And you gotta fight through a lot of uphill battles and red tape in that system to even get known and get noticed. So I'm just like, man, I got this book for you though.
It's a good book.
I got this book for you. And I got some information that if you can't understand, but like me actually doing the work, yeah, I'm straight on that.
Do you feel like,
That's to respond to them 100,000 songs coming out daily.
how many songs you think it was around the time you found like Wintertime and Brent and they were still active on SoundCloud? Do you feel like it was maybe like 20,000 songs, 30,000 songs? There's no way it was 100,000 in 2015.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you when that spike happened. It was May 2020. May 2020 is when this spike happened because nobody could do nothing else but put out music. So they went from 1 week, it was like weekly, like there was, 20,000 songs, a week. If I can remember the Spotify data correctly, it was like 20,000 songs a week. And that shit went to like 45, 50, like overnight, once people realized that, oh shit, the only way I'm gonna be able to make money is like releasing music. And so it was like a big, big, big fucking drop of music, and it hasn't went down since.
Nah, that search has only increased.
Yeah, it hasn't went down since.
And I guess that's I mean, that's an uphill battle for everybody. You know, everyone's in that same pool of 100,000. I think that's one of the biggest difference between watching like an NBA player, right? Not everyone's going to touch the court in the NBA. Only the best of the best getting drafted. But in music, it's just like anyone with a song has a chance to get uploaded, and you're all in the same arena. You're all fighting for the same listeners. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of music.
Mm-hmm. Whole lot of music.
So
ain't gotta take account for the explosion of TikTok.
yeah, I still can't comprehend how big TikTok has changed things in music. Just entertainment period. Say ain't no telling.
Yeah, man, like, cause it uploads,
And it's
cause
fast.
of the upload.
It's fast. It's faster. I remember when Vine was a thing. And I thought Vine was fast, but I feel like TikTok, the amount of content that's being churned out on a daily basis, is almost 2 times the amount of content I saw when Vine was hot. So yeah, if you think about 100,000 songs being uploaded to the DSPs, how many TikToks are being uploaded at the same time? You know, it's
1,000%.
I was just reading something about like the content creator kind of era, that we're in the era of the creator, and how everyone's pretty much trying to invent some type of song or some type of dance or something to get attention to kind of continue building their brand. And this is really maybe the first time in history where it has been such a large desire for people to create things from just their cell phones.
Mm-hmm. 1,000%.
So I just feel like all of that just creates a cluster. So it's like a huge cluster of just trying to get attention right now. So, you know. But I still, to go back to the book, I remember when PK was telling me that Spotify or getting on the DSPs was like getting on first base.
Mm-hmm.
How second base was getting fans from, you know, hearing your music to your store so they can shop with you. Are you thinking about this period of time? Do you think about giveaways? Do you think about holiday releases? Do you think about things that might be attached to some of those, like some of the gift giving that the fourth quarter has created for people?
No, not really. You know what I'm saying? Man, we're just in a busy time, bro. You know what I'm saying? And when I remember T-Pain saying something a long time ago when he was making music, he was like, man, I would listen to the radio and I started doing everything that was what everybody else was doing, I went left. And I think that's what I've been always focusing on. So when there's a lot of people doing the same thing, I just automatically figure out a way to go left in that way. You know what I'm saying?
I see that.
Because I like my chances then, you know?
You're going to gamble on the thing that everyone's not doing.
Yeah, so if everybody dropping 100 songs, 100,000 songs, if that's the thing, then I'm going to slow down my releases and drop them more calculated and more intentional because it's a bunch of music out. So the more time that I got to talk about it to people, to like, you know, move all the different things and engage it with people, I feel like it's going to just cut through in a different way. That means I got more time to save up money to try to like make one big splash that can create that can create momentum for the next thing.
Like a ripple effect.
1,000%.
That makes a lot of sense. And I do commend the foresight of seeing what everyone's doing and having the knack to go the opposite direction, because I don't think that's always the easiest thing to do, especially when it seems like everyone's talking about this thing. I remember reading about how when Steve Jobs got back to Apple and they were building the iMac, they wanted to have a floppy disk holder because all the computers at the time had floppy disk. And Steve was like, no, that's dying. That's not going to be a thing that people are going to be using in the next couple of years. And they pretty much said that when they removed the floppy disk, that the iMac was going to be a failure.
Mm-hmm.
It was not a failure. Floppy disk died within the next like 5 years. No computer had it.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta have that projection. You gotta have that thought process. You gotta have time to slow down and think. You know.
Yeah, that's something that I feel like I read that seemed to be kindred to the way that you think that being focused is saying no. That the more focused that you are on whatever you're focused on, that you have to get even double about cutting out noise, or believing that when you say
1,000%.
no, that you're saying no so that you can continue your focus on what you're focused on and not have your attention diverted.
1,000%. Very important to do. Very important to know like your focus and like everything is not meant for you to do to get to the next step. Because it all boils down to intentionality and delayed gratification, you know.
Especially when it comes to trends. Trends are trends because the gratification isn't delayed. It's like this, it's the hot thing. It's that immediacy that attracts people to what's trendy versus, you know, the long road to something new or something original or something that is more you know, versus more them. That T-Pain story is crazy to me because T-Pain was the radio. You know, he was the guy that everybody was following at one point in time. But to your point, it's like he started paying attention to what they were doing and that changed him. And I don't think he ever really recovered.
1,000%. Yeah, definitely there.
Yeah, you can't lose yourself in it. Now I know that obviously with the seasons changing, how do you keep morale up with your teams? How do you kind of keep everybody in the fourth quarter mindset that you're in?
Support, man. Support, you know, new information. Showing gratitude myself so that it can kind of spread and rub off on others, you know. That's the essence of it for me. You know what I mean?
I feel it. I feel it. Is there any teams you're looking at right now that you're like they're having a pretty good fourth quarter, or that you appreciate what they've been doing getting into this season?
Nah, I've been kind of zeroed in on my own shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like the growth and the process that it takes to break through when you got so much stuff going on in the market. You can't really spend too much time even looking at what other people got going on unless it's somebody that's aligning the same way you're aligning or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nah, I got you. I remember I had hit you up when all the conversation around the baby was going on. You were like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it didn't really surprise me because I know, you know what I'm saying, how you be ripping and running. But you had an interesting perspective on how you felt about the baby and what was going on with his, just like his position in the marketplace.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, it ain't I'm not the demo for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the demo for it, so it ain't really like driving for me. You know what I mean?
But we were also just talking about how he sort of turned his back on the fan base or what the demo was, where, you know, he was someone that wasn't like a villain. And he made this pivot into being like this villainous character and how that affected the way people were like receptive of him.
Yeah, like he don't make villain music. Like his music was successful because people love the energy, love the smile, love the concept of like fun. But once the person that is doing the fun music that really ain't standing out that much and it ain't really growing, now they see you as a villain. Nobody really like the villain because they feel like, you know, it feel like, you know, you're taking advantage of like, the fun. Like, so when a person success is built around people liking your smile, liking your charm, liking the music because it's like real fun and bouncy, and then you turn to like a villain in their eyes. It's a very, very fast decline. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It ain't got nothing to do with the baby. That's just like the market. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And again, I wanted to bring that up just because we were talking about how hard it is for new artists to break in. But even artists that have a little bit of a foot in the game, you're not necessarily secure in your position if you're not able to keep people engaged with why they're there in the first place.
1,000%. Appreciate everybody for tuning in for this episode of Fuck You Money.